Yay! So, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us with Venture Cafe in our partnership with the Center for Social Change to have this wonderful mastermind manifester, Tiffany Nicole. Has
So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining.
several times. Sorry, I'm hearing a feedback thing. Theta Healer. She's just a wonderful speaker and has brought many very interesting. I don't even know what to say. Many interesting things to help people in her coaching programs, and I'm just grateful to have Tiffany with us today. So, without
Thank
further
you.
ado, Tiffany.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Yeah, so a lot of what she said. I'm a certified mindset coach. I'm also a theta healer. And I help women to remove their subconscious limiting beliefs that's really stopping them from being able to manifest, experience, create whatever they really want in their lives, like regardless of what that is. I will say a lot of people ask me now when I mention theta healing, like, what is this? And just to give you a little background, like before we dive in, because I know myself and I will probably mention it as we go along, and then you'll all be thinking, what is she talking about? Basically, theta healing is like a really beautiful modality where I myself get to connect to my theta brainwave, and I also get to connect to God, source, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it. And then the most important piece is that I get to connect to my client's subconscious, where everything is stored. All of your belief systems, which is actually where you manifest from, all of your trauma, should you have any addiction, any pain, any anxiety, past life stuff. I mean, everything is there. And I really get to see it. And I'm guided to actually pull it from the root, even if it's genetic, and I just start pulling out all the limitation, all the trauma, all the pain, everything, with your permission, of course. And then we start to download things in to replace it that would really support you in what you need to kind of move forward in any way that you choose. So I know it sounds like, what? Like people literally are like, are you for real? I'm like, yes, I'm for real. There's like, I have a lot of experience doing this, and I also have a lot of proof. So if you ever want to go on my website, there are amazing people that have left very personal testimonials on my site so that you could understand exactly what has healed for them. But you can ask me anything you want, by the way, throughout this entire presentation, if you will. I'm open to all questions, comments, suggestions. I actually love questions, so have at it. So one of the first things that I always say to people, and this is so true, is that I don't need to teach you how to manifest. Nobody needs to teach you how to do that, because you have literally been doing it since the day that you were born. It's such an amazing, beautiful gift that we're given as human beings. And we really are given the freedom to create any type of life that we want through our thoughts and our energy. However, what happens to us is that we get coded, programmed, influenced by so many other people's belief systems, our parents mostly in the beginning, that we tend to start believing in the things that they are coding us with because we don't know any better. And unfortunately, a lot of those programs, if you will, are limitations. They sound like, I'm not worthy, and I'm not enough, and I'm not deserving, and I'm not capable, and a whole bunch of other shit. Hope it's okay that I curse on here. And that's what happens to us. And a lot of people don't really understand like where their belief systems come from, or maybe like what they even are. But this is really what it is. It starts to become layers and layers of foundation of how you start to operate in the world and what you believe is possible for you. And so as we kind of get older and we get going and we start to be able to connect to what we want, right? Not just what we're taught, but what we actually want, we start to struggle a bit to really create that for ourselves and believe that we can have it, because for such a long time of our young lives, we are shown so many things around limitation. Like money is such a big thing for people. Like they watch their parents struggle or, yell about money or freak out about bills. And all of these things, you're like a little sponge. All of this stuff that you're kind of taking in, it really starts to become your operating system. And because our beliefs are what manifest, and we'll get into this more, if we're not going to do the work to uncover and start to get really clear around what we are believing on that kind of deeper level, we are going to continue to manifest, if you will, or create things in our lives that are usually the direct opposite of what we actually want. And this is when things get frustrating for us and we don't understand what the hell is going on or what we're doing wrong. When I give kind of the definition of manifestation, for me, I think the simplest way to explain it is it's just creation of reality through thought and energetic alignment, like I said. And two things are really important to know. And that is that you are always manifesting 24/7, whether you want to or not. It's like if you're alive, which we all are, thank God, knock on wood, then you're manifesting 24/7 because you're always creating. Creation never stops as long as you're alive. And your thoughts, right? Your dominant thoughts, they are constantly creating a certain kind of energy or frequency that's always kind of allowing you to live in a certain vibration, if you will, that holds energy of other things that you are always attracting. I promise I'll explain this more in a later slide. And the second thing is that we manifest from the subconscious part of our mind. So a lot of people feel like, well, I know what I want and I know what's going on because you are consciously connected to things. But your conscious mind, the stuff that is readily available to you, I don't even care about that stuff. It's literally 5% of your life. Like, who cares? Literally, who cares? It's all the subconscious stuff that is the main reasoning for everything. So I'm always like, why don't people want to dig into this more and understand that this is the key to manifestation? Like vision boards and crystals and like, journaling things 50 freaking times and repeating stuff all day long. Like, I guess that's cool and everything, but the main stuff is this, like, this is the meat of it. So I always tell people, like, get into belief work because that's the stuff that's creating your life on repeat. The question, and I wrote it here for everyone, is what are your dominant thoughts and energy actually aligning with? Like, what are they really creating for you? All of us, every single one of us have thought patterns, and we are, whether we know this or not, we actually think the same thoughts 80% of the time. So what that means is that you have 80% of the same types of thoughts running through your mind all the time on repeat constantly. And this is the energy that you live in because thoughts create emotions. When you think something, you feel something. And now you're kind of living in this space, in this energetic vortex, if you will, that's never changing because the thoughts are always the same. But now you're wanting something different. But the thing is that you can't actually attract something different if you don't think and feel something different. So the only way to shift ourselves out of that 80% of reality that's constantly creating the same is to remove the beliefs that are creating the same type of thinking. Like, does this make sense? Just say yes or no. Talk to me in the chat, say something, ask me anything, tell me yes or no. But that is really the main piece I feel like that people need to understand when it comes to how we are creating the world that we are living in. This is how. The other thing is, I think the first piece in all of this too is getting really clear. And if you have a pen and paper, like, please feel free to write this down. Is getting really clear about what you want in your life. And, this is a lot trickier than you think. Again, I know the conscious mind in you is like, I know what I want. I want more money and I want this and I want that. Yes. But then when I work with people a little bit deeper, what we come to find out is that some of the things that they came to me with in the beginning that they claimed that they wanted so badly isn't really something that they want. It's something that their parents wanted for them. It's something that society told you that you should have to fit in or be normal or be successful. It's something that you felt pressured to have in your life. But when we deal with the universe and when we deal with our own actual happiness, we have to come from a place of authenticity. And authenticity doesn't look like anyone else's dreams becoming our reality. We have to know what we want from a very true place inside of us. And a lot of people are very disconnected to who they even are. And it's important to ask yourself, couple of questions before you dive into just what you think you want. And, one of those things is this something that I truly want? Or is this something that I have been conditioned to believe that I should have? And those are two very, very different things. And the second thing is, again, do I really want this? Or am I asking for this or believing I should have it because I've just been comparing myself for so long to others who I think are better than me and they have this. So I guess I should have this too. None of these things have anything to do with you. And the third thing is, and when I do theta healing on people, man, oh man, do I get a lot of people pleasers. So I have to remove a lot of that stuff. But that's the thing. I don't know any of you personally, well, only one of you. So please consider this. Are you doing this because you're trying to please someone? Because that also is not going to work for you. And then I also get this question sometimes, which is, can I manifest for others? No, we're not manifesting ex-boyfriends back or like people calling you and stuff like that. Like that's not a thing. We all have free will, right? Like we can't go around manipulating other people's life journeys. So all of those things I say that are on the slide, write down what you want. One thing that you really, really want. I think it'll be good for us to get clear on something and work with that as like we go through this stuff. But I don't know, what's one thing that you're like dying to have that's really on your heart? Maybe something that you've been wanting for a while. Oh, wait, you guys are talking to me in the chat room. Melanie, amen. Amen. I'm glad it makes sense. So yeah, any questions, whatever you got. But write something down that you really want, claim it, really claim it. Put some power behind it. Put some energy behind it. Put some force behind it. And one of the things I'll tell you, like, I teach a program called Believe and Manifest, and everything I'm teaching, by the way, comes from that program. I have a whole week on language. It's very important because our thoughts are not the only thing creating energy. Our words are very vibrational because they also invoke emotion. So I don't like words that make me feel powerless. And when I say things like, I hope something happens or I wish something would happen, that does not allow me to align with my power. I just feel like it's a maybe, and I'm not banking on maybe for my dreams to come true. So for me, it's always like I am, or I have, or I'm grateful that. And I'm putting myself in a vibration and in a mindset of this desire already being mine. I'm not playing around with this. So I always suggest that people use very powerful kind of present tense language when they're writing out something that they truly want. So that's why I have these just a few phrases here at the bottom. You can, use whatever you want. It's just, I'm just recommending what I do. Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll give you guys like a second. And I also get this question a lot too, like, is manifestation just for material items? Absolutely not. We can manifest health and I was going to say wealth, but that is material. But we can manifest health. We can manifest happiness, joy, clarity, purpose, fulfillment, like all of those things. It does not have, even confidence, doesn't have to be something material.
I do have a question around what you said earlier about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, isn't the doorway to the subconscious mind, like even the fact that we're having this, doesn't the conscious mind have some effect on how it affects the subconscious mind?
Yes, but it's in a weird way, it's reversed. Because your subconscious mind is teaching your conscious mind how to navigate through the world. They do talk to each other. And the interesting thing too, to take this a little further, is that your subconscious mind also tells your conscious mind what is important to you, always. So there is something called a reticular activating system, which no, I'm not going to get into. But what happens with this is that is actually the part of I teach this in the program, that is actually part of the mind that filters your reality. And the interesting thing is, if you guys really understood just how much of a creation, like you are such amazing creators, we all are. whatever you focus on the most, and this is where the dominant thinking comes in, whatever you focus on the most, that is what sends the signal consciously and says, scan the environments for this because this is what's important to her or him. This is what's important. And a lot of the times that looks very limiting. Like, it's almost like, yes, prove to me that this won't work. Prove to me that I can't afford this. Like, prove to me that this person is going to not call me or show up. And it's like, because our brain is so wired in negativity. And so that's why too, like, we're constantly believing our own beliefs, because the job of the mind is to always prove to us that what we believe is true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you change the belief, you change the focus, you change the proof, you change the reality, you change the whole thing. Yeah, it's a good question.
And is it easy to change those deeper subconscious beliefs?
Wait, say that one more time.
Is it easy to change those deeper subconscious beliefs?
I mean, it's like, it's not a hard question, because here's the thing. Is it easy? Yes, it just depends upon what you're willing to do. You know, like that's the honest answer. Some people are still struggling with even just giving themselves that one shot, that 1 second to push past the fear that says, I can do this. And they're still really paralyzed in there. And then you have the other person that, even though they're literally scared shitless, they're finally ready to like do something, whether it's work with a coach or take a program or do a theta healing session or sit with a therapist, someone that's going to help them to uncover this stuff and work through this stuff. Like, you know, I don't know, can you just write a bunch of affirmations down and say them every single day? Yes, you could. Is that really the deepest, best, most efficient way to do this? No, it's not. It's not. Honestly, it's not. It's a great start. I really feel like it's a Band-Aid. There is more to be done here. You have access to so much more. Like, I always advise people to use it, you know, use it. So it just, yes and no. All right. So I hope everyone wrote down one thing that they're really passionate about having. And because it's really good to have that on the forefront of your mind, I think, every day. And the second thing is, I always say, like, why do you want this? You know, like, do you understand the purpose behind even desiring something in your life? I mean, I'm a huge advocate too, and I say this a lot, you know, before we even came down here to have this human experience, there were so many things that were placed inside of you that you were meant to explore and have and uncover, that are so unique to you and your individual like life path. And so as we move along in life and like we get these kind of what I call like hits of inspiration, if you will, those things, so many of us deny that it's a thing, but it is a thing and it's meant for you. That's why we all want different things. And you have to go deeper. Ask yourself, why do I want this? Why is this thing that I just uncovered so important to me? You know, why is this lighting me up so much? Why am I trying so hard to get this? You know, we have to know that, because we are human beings who are very much guided by motivation a lot of the times. And you're not going to be motivated to attain something if it doesn't have meaning for you, right? So when you understand why you want something, it creates meaning, it creates drive, it creates purpose. And when the road gets bumpy and, you know, you might have some beliefs around failure that will sabotage you from moving forward, this is a great thing to kind of help you bypass that, is to kind of transition your focus from fear and failure or procrastination to motivation and purpose and fulfillment and why. Does that make sense? So this is simple, just, you know, a few sentences around why you even wrote down the desire that you just did. Why is it so important? I mean, this can become a way bigger exercise that I teach on, because it should be a bigger exercise. But for now, like, a few sentences would be a good start. Also, I don't know who's on here, but if anyone wants to share what they wrote down, like if you want to share a desire or why you want it, I would love to know.
I have a question more that's more broad. Do you also, or like what what are your recommendations for sort of previous to writing down what you want, trying to sort of narrow down what you actually want? Because it's just hard. Like, we all want so many things. So how do you recommend getting to that one thing, you know?
For me, I always pick the one thing that lights me up the most. And it's usually almost instantaneous. Like, we all want tons of things. I want a lot of things. And by the way, you don't manifest one thing at a time. I probably should have said that, because we'd be here all day. But it's just for the point of the masterclass that we're choosing one thing. Because we only have an hour. But in life, I mean, we're manifesting lots of things. It's good for you to know what you want, all of it, not just one, all of it, all of it. You should know what you want in all areas of your life. You should have absolute clarity and direction on all of it, for sure.
But what if you don't?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the ideal.
That's what she's asking. I think you're asking me how to nail this down. What if you don't? It's really a really good. Okay, I'm gonna give you two things. One, this has a lot to do with intuition. It really does. When we allow ourselves to listen to our bodies and kind of that motivating driving force towards something that feels really good, that's when you know that you want something. However, some of us really lead in fear. And so what happens to us is, like, the minute that we get excited about it, we also like mask it and shove it down and kind of swish it away because we're like, no, I could never have that. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to pay attention to that. The second thing that I have found to be very true in working with people, especially in theta healing, when people come to me and they say, Tiffany, one of the things I need is clarity. I don't know what I want. I have news for you. Every single one of them knew exactly what they wanted. It wasn't clarity, it was courage. And that's not the same thing. They were afraid to admit what they wanted. They were afraid to pursue what they wanted, but they absolutely knew what they wanted. Does that help you? Does that make more sense?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
does. And I'd even add, maybe it goes in line with this, that sometimes you don't get what you want and you don't realize that not getting what you wanted actually gives you what you want.
Correct.
If that makes any sense.
It does make sense, because that's where the authenticity piece of all of this comes in. People really are confused, and I get it, and it's okay. That's why all of this work is available. They're confused. There are a lot of people who really do believe that they want what they're asking for. And they don't want it. They want it because somebody has fed it to them for so long that that's what they should have. And then it kind of works very magically and mysteriously in this way, where as they kind of go through all of this and then they don't get it, what they wind up getting is the very thing that they really wanted the whole time, that was kind of deep in there and just wrapped in fear, so to speak. But it was really what was meant for them, you know? So yeah, it totally makes sense. Let's see. Melanie, I am clear on what I want. What I need is focus on manifesting my top 5 desires. What I want to manifest these desires is to be of service to others and the calling of my soul. That's beautiful. Mine was clarity. I had written down, I have a healthy relationship with my dad. That's great. Melanie, I would ask myself why you're not focused. There's so many benefits to not focusing on things. I know that sounds weird, but there is. A lot of the times when we don't focus on something, it keeps us feeling safe, because then we don't have to figure out if we can actually do it or not. Not saying that to you. I'm just saying, giving you an example of why sometimes things are beneficial that don't seem beneficial. All right, so we got this part, yeah? The why?
Thank you, Nicole. Oh, Tiffany, sorry.
That's okay, everyone does it. The next thing that I can share with you guys is, kind of getting behind something that you really want and knowing and understanding why it's so purposeful and fulfilling, and then just giving yourself time to really see it before it actually arrives, like in front of you. Visualization has been such a powerful instrument in my life, and it really has been a very powerful instrument to get me out of the darkest places of my life. I've been using this since I was a little girl, not even realizing what I was doing. But there's so much science behind it. And I personally know so many people who have healed from, being paralyzed and just very serious illnesses like cancer just through the power of visualization. And we need to give ourselves the time and the space. And I kind of feel like it's like even an act of self love to really see this beautiful life or creation or desire unfold, kind of right in front of us in the mind's eye through a visual experience. And when I teach this to my students, I teach it in a way that allows them to call in all of their senses. Because one of the main things that I see people miss in this whole kind of manifestation experience is the embodiment of everything. It's like we just want the information around things sometimes, and then we just try and apply these things, but we miss the embodiment of these things. And what I mean by that is like, it's not just about like, I teach a vision board class every January for the new year. And, it's not just about pictures or photos or creating like a collage or just allowing yourself to see something and say, I want it. We have to understand how to like wrap our senses in it. Like, what does this thing look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like when you touch it and hold it? And when you take yourself through this experience, have the thing that you want in the mind's eye, close your eyes, allow yourself some time to connect to just your breath, and slowly just allow this thing to unfold in front of you and let yourself see it limitlessly, all the possibilities of it, what your life will look like now that it's here. What can you hear in this manifestation that you've just created? Like, what is going on around you? What can you smell? Like I've manifested every car I've ever wanted. I've manifested every home I've ever wanted. And in all of those manifestations, I could smell that car. I could smell it. I could smell my home. I could feel my home. I would sit on the couch that wasn't a real thing yet, all of it. So allow yourself to embody it with all of your senses and give yourself some time to do that. And the beautiful thing about this too, like the trick in all of this outside of embodiment, is that your mind doesn't know the difference between fact and fantasy, which is why when people suffer with anxiety, they even have anxiety, because their mind doesn't know that the horrific thing that they're thinking about isn't actually happening to them. So use this to your advantage. And when you're like seeing all of this in the mind and you're feeling all of this, your mind thinks it's happening. And in those moments of embodiment and visualization, you have to understand that everything has energy. And do you understand the kind of energy that you're putting yourself in by allowing yourself to have this experience, and how that is really the currency and language of universe anyway? So you're doing so many things at once just by allowing yourself to see this and feel this.
I really love that. And I've manifested many things myself in using that same technique of like really feeling it and seeing it and smelling it and tasting it even. Even just getting a cup of coffee or getting a hamburger, it's almost like a taste comes up in your mouth, and then you want is that thing. And do you recommend that people do this as a meditation, take that time every day to revisit that thing and have 5 sense experience around the thing?
It's such a good question. And it really is true. It is a form of meditation. It is in itself. It really is a form of meditation. And I think it's a great way to use meditation. Because really look at what we're doing. This is what I usually do. I usually give my students like a ton of tools, and I tell them, try them all. See which ones really speak to you, because we're all different. We connect to different things. And I don't like the idea of becoming like robotic with things. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I want people to always use their intuition to guide them in life. So feel it out. Like, I don't wake up and just visualize every morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some mornings when I do it, and there are just some mornings that I don't. And sometimes I'll take a break in the afternoon because, well, I wish I wasn't Bora Bora. So We're just gonna sit and imagine this for a minute because I'm having a real shitty day. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, use it as you will to your advantage whenever you feel like it. But I definitely think that we should be using it as a tool for sure in our lives. You know, how often? That's up to you. You know, up to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I asked that question also because I think sometimes, especially with all that's going on, we get so much distraction around where our thoughts go in throughout the day. And I think sometimes we downplay the importance of like daydreaming or just giving ourselves the space to do that, you know. But I realize also that, you know, we have the power to even shift the drama that's going on by just taking the time to recognize what is truly important to us. So I appreciate hearing you say that.
Yeah, we are so programmed to believe that everything external is so much more important than what we are internally. Like, we just are programmed for that. That someone else's opinions are more important than our own, that someone else's needs is more important than our own, you know, that someone else has the answer that we don't have, that someone else knows better for what you should do with your life than you should, you know, and all of this craziness. And we're so backwards. And so with all of this chaos, what's really going on in the world, by the way, I could do a whole other masterclass on this, is really just the biggest energetic purge that you've ever seen in your entire life. It's like the biggest spiritual dump I've ever seen. It's so true. It's like every ugly, dark-seated thing that ever needed to come up to the surface finally. It's a lot like releasing beliefs. It's finally here because what's happening is that we are awakening, we are ascending, and we are creating a new earth. The thing with all of this is that we are all connected energetically. And so you don't realize what a big part you play in this, but there is something called collective consciousness, and it's kind of the energy that we all share as a collective. And as you heal your own trauma and your own belief systems and your own, you know, kind of genetic coding, it also heals within the world. And then we get lighter and we get to ascend faster. And so you have to pay attention to what you're paying attention to, how that not just affects you, but how it affects the entire collective. And then also, you also have to realize that, you know, it's just like what Christina just said, like the visualization and doing these things should not be put on the back burner. These things that you think are more important than you are not more important than you. It's actually everything that is inside of you that is creating everything that you're seeing outside of you. So if you want things to change, it is not the external that you should be paying attention to. It is everything that is going on internally, because that's what creates what's going on externally. So we do, in a lot of ways, we have this all kind of backwards, you know? Yeah.
And
okay.
so a few comments.
Yeah.
About the power of feeling in the embodiment. I see my emotions as my power, intuition as your guide. Yes, that's from Melanie.
Yep.
And you can read the other one.
She also says, I also equate the intuition to my emotions, which I see as the guidance system pointing me to what I don't want. Yeah. And to clarify what I do want, you speak my language. The choices we make affect the collective. Yes. So that's the visualization piece that I like to do in my practice. And so this is really all about the subconscious mind, this little slide that I put together to you, because this is such a missing piece for people, and I can't stress it enough. We're always asking, well, what's the key to manifestation, and how do I really create the reality that I want? And there's all these like, can I really have my dream life and all this stuff? And it's like, yes, you can. The thing is that a lot of the stuff that's being shoved into your face by society and like pop culture is not really the way to do this. It's like, you have also been trained to not show people your ugliness. You, a lot of the times, have been trained to actually be ashamed of the ugliness. And we have this like, I don't know, it's like this weird thing where people think that just thinking positively is going to get them what they want. It's actually the opposite. Like, you need all of the emotions, because this stuff, this like ugly negative stuff or trauma or pain or whatever that you might have went through in your life, when you start unearthing that and allowing that to come up and heal, that when it heals, that energy goes away. It leaves with it. And then you are allowed to evolve and move up into an entirely different vibration and frequency that you get to live in. And in that frequency that doesn't hold all of that stuff is when we are really able to attract and create things that much faster. So by you just, oh, I'm just going to think positive, like, is thinking positive wonderful? Yes. And do you need it? Yes. But you also need to understand what is creating the sabotage and creating the distance between what you have now and what you actually want. And so just remember this, like this part of the mind that is so important, it is so crucial. It's where all of the beliefs are stored. And it's where manifestation happens. So if you are someone who's like, how do I manifest my life with intention? You're going to want to understand what's going on subconsciously, because that's where you manifest from. It's not consciously. It's where creation happens. This is what's also very important. It drives all of your actions. So like a lot of people will say like, okay, I want to change. I'm ready to change. I'm going to change. This is the best, like January 1. Because it's January 1, I'm going to change my life today. I'm going to change, right? Which is hysterical. And then it's like, cool, you're going to change? Amazing. But no one ever seems to like ask, what is going to drive my change? Because you think it's going to be action, but do you know what drives the action? The belief. So like sometimes we pick up steam and all of a sudden we're like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then 2 weeks in, it's like, man, is that you just hit a brick wall, fizzles out, you go right back to square one. And again, it's because this is the Band-Aid approach. If your beliefs drive your actions, don't you have to change the belief before the action changes? And then you can actually change for real. So your beliefs also drive what you do. Direct result, pay attention to what you're doing. It will show you what you believe. It's responsible for 95% of your reality. It is the main thing that I work on in my Believe and Manifest program. Do I teach people tools on how to manifest? Of course. But what we are really working on is your belief system, because again, that is the creation for everything. I'm just looking in the chat. Nope, no one has anything to say. Does anyone have any questions about this? I mean, it's like so important.
I'm just, hi, it's Melanie. I'm just resonating with everything you're saying. You're covering it all. There's no questions asked. So thank you.
In an hour.
Right? You go. Nice one. Thank you.
Highlights in an hour is what's happening here. But here is something that I do want to share with you guys. And because I also see that people really believe this, and that you get into, it is a trap because it's not true, but we can get into the trap of believing, okay, I'm not getting what I want because I'm not worthy, because I don't have time. That's a huge one. I don't have time to do this. That's why I don't have what I want, because I don't have time. And I can't afford it. That is the biggest one of all. Like, oh, I can't buy that. I can't invest in that. I can't go there. I can't see this. I don't have the money. That's why I'm not successful. Or I'm not good enough. It's the number one limiting belief, by the way, in the whole entire world. I'm not good enough. And this is the thing. Or the other thing too is it's because you don't know the right person or have the right resources. Like these are the major ones. And I want to tell you that the reason why you're not getting it is because on some level you believe that one of these things are true. And if you believe something is true, it will be, even if it isn't. And the way that beliefs are formed are with reoccurring thoughts. That's all a belief is, by the way. I mean, that is all that it is. So the more you think something, the more you believe it. That's why those dominant thoughts, that's what we're after. That's what needs to be broken. So if you keep thinking to yourself, even if you're not aware, listen, a lot of the things that I pull out of people in theta healing sessions, they're like, what now? They didn't even know. That's the whole point. They didn't know that they had this as a belief. Doesn't matter if you know it or not. It's manifesting regardless. It's driving your actions regardless. So if you believe one of these things and you're constantly telling yourself, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money, can't afford it, can't afford it, can't afford it, can't afford it. Going back to Christina's question, what will happen is that you are filtering and creating a reality that will constantly prove to you that you're right, you can't afford it. You're right, you're never going to make ends meet. You're right, it's never going to be enough. You have to get that belief out of there so that you stop proving this to yourself over and over again. So none of these things on this list are why you don't have it. So if you believe that, I'm here to tell you that that is a lie and it's not true. And I just told you what's on the next slide, which is that your repetitive thoughts become your beliefs. The more you think it and say it, the more it becomes an absolute truth for you, and will continue to manifest into your life, whether you want it or not, which is also why I do the whole language piece of my program. I think it's essential. It's so important. We don't realize, again, our speech, our phrases are almost as programmed as the thoughts that are dominant that we don't even realize that we think. And we have to change what comes out of here and also change what's happening in here. It's super important. So, and if you want to change your reality, you have to change what you believe about it. Do you guys have any questions for me? Anything? Jill says, hell yeah. So does Elena. Dorit, is it Dorit? Am I saying it right? I've never heard the name Dorit except for on.
It's
Is it
actually,
Dorit?
my parents pronounce it Dorit, but it's an Israeli name pronounced Dorit.
So just a little side note, I'm obsessed with all the housewife shows, and the Beverly Hills Housewives has this girl named Dorit on it. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Anyway, so when I saw the name, I got really excited. I don't work with I don't work with teenagers. Sorry. I'll tell you this. I have done theta healing on some teenagers. Their parents have asked me to, and it's gone very well. But I don't like work with teenagers. Like I don't like teenagers don't take my programs. It's for adults. Yeah.
I was just going to add that from a perspective, from a meditative perspective, that you're creating these neural pathways in the brain, and it's kind of like a stream. And then when you repeat the conversation, when you repeat the thoughts, like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, it actually turns into a river. And that river creates kind of like a habit. And so your habits are linked, obviously, to the thoughts that you have and the things that you say, and then the behavior becomes part of an additional part of the reinforcement that happens.
Yeah. I took I had habits in here. I took them out because I had an hour, and I just
right. So my question is, can you on your own in your house change that conversation? Like, let's say you notice that you keep saying that, and you constantly have this conversation. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough. And then finally you realize that this is what you have been telling yourself, and this is probably a pattern that you have. Can you literally, even if you don't feel that you believe whatever it is that you're saying, let's say you say, no, I do have enough money. And you say, I have a lot of money. And you don't actually feel like that's true. Is it possible to change your beliefs in that regard?
Awareness is the key to everything. Okay. So if you can get yourself to be aware enough to see what you're actually doing, and you can find your thought loop in a sense. And then from there, now that you've gained awareness about it, like you said, oh man, I just said it again, and I just said it again, and I just said it again. And in those moments, though, what you have to do is stop. You cannot continue to say it. You have to, and when I say it, I also mean think it. You have to stop, and you have to kind of have a backup. And when I say a backup, this is really the belief that you would need to change this reality for yourself. That's what you need. And so have the backup ready, right? Because this is where the implementation comes in. You're going to have to put something else in its place to rewire what's been happening in your mind and in your vocabulary. So have awareness, have the backup belief, insert backup belief when necessary, and repeat. That is really, if you're not going to work with anyone, that is the best way to do it. And if you want to take it a step further, because you're right, most of the time you're not going to believe just because you said it once, twice, 3 times, and all of a sudden you do have all this money. Start questioning everything and ask yourself why you don't believe that having this amount of money is possible for you. What this does is poke in the mind that you're not, that you don't have a connection to really consciously. And it will start to unearth some more beliefs that you have not seen yet around why you don't believe this, and write them down. The more beliefs you can gather up and work through, the better.
Awesome.
You know? Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions around that? If you do, just let me know. I always like proof. The mind loves proof. So I got some proof for all of you about what happens when you actually bust through limiting beliefs. And my students do amazing jobs, but some of them really stand out to me. And I remember the person on this slide, her name's Marta. When I met her, she was like, my whole business is failing. Like, I have to let it go. I'm gonna have to go bankrupt. She didn't even have the money to do my program on a computer. Like, she didn't have a computer. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have the money for this. I don't even have a computer. And I wound up setting her up with a student that lived by her, and they would do the program together at the student's house and share her computer. And I said, I promise you that you'll have the money for this if you just start. And this is her testimonial to me. And she did this last year, and she said, I manifested she didn't have a car. I manifested a new free car. She got her insurance paid for a year. She had to get a lawyer because her business exploded so fast. And yeah, she has a computer now. So, but do you see how fast things can happen when beliefs change? Because that is the creation of reality. And we also have this belief that everything is going to take so much time. Like, sometimes that messes us up and we don't start something because we just think that we don't have the time, or it's going to take too much time. And what I want to share with you is that the universe doesn't work on time. It works on alignment. That is a whole other conversation. But time is a man-made concept. And when you learn more about this, you will see things very differently. Here's someone else who, a lot of things happened for Kate. She finally lost the weight that she wanted to. She manifested her dream car, which was a BMW. And she really wanted a career in real estate and never had one because she was too afraid to take the test and didn't think she could do it. She's a successful realtor now. She lost all this weight. She has a BMW. She even moved. She's like living her best life. And here's like little ones of like someone that manifested their dream home, got engaged, got a raise, all at the same time. I have a lot of people in MLMs that take my programs, and their MLMs like explode because it's all limiting beliefs that are keeping them down. And then someone else who got their dream job met the love of their life. So it's all possible. Like, it's not like some made up thing that like isn't going to happen for you. It works the same for everybody. It's the same principles. It's the same universal law for everybody. So, we can't manifest without the law of attraction. Here's the energy piece to all of this, because everything is mostly energy. Everything, you, me, everything, we're all energy. Everything's energy. I don't think people realize how much everything really does, though, consist of energy. We are all vibrational beings, and everything around us is constantly vibrating at a certain frequency. And the thing is that because our thoughts also create so much energy, that is where the creation is coming from with everything. It's like, here are these thoughts, they're dominant. Here is the dominant energy that it's holds. It's like create. The thing is, what the hell are you actually creating? And one of the things that I see a lot of people do, again, this is more coding and conditioning, is you've also been taught to believe that, it's like, oh, I'll be happy when, I don't know, whatever that is I'll be happy when I make $1 million. I'll be happy when I find someone. I'll be happy when this happens. And it's like, you get to be happy now. You get to be worthy now. You get to be enough now. You get to be whatever you want now. Okay. You don't have to wait for anything until you get to be that or feel that. When we talk about law of attraction, it's simply like attracts like. It's like energy attracting other like energy and bringing it together. So when people say to me, I just want to be happy, that's great. But if you're going to manifest happiness, you're going to have to be happy now. If you're going to manifest wealth, you're going to have to feel abundant now. If you're going to manifest love, you're going to have to know what it feels like to love yourself now. We're not waiting for things to feel things. That's the opposite of attraction. That's repelling. So this is a big thing for people to wrap their heads around. I actually spend 2 weeks on this in my program because there's a lot of this. We have to clear out the stuff that causes us bad energy. We have to take energetic inventory of our life. We have to get used to playing in certain energies. This is the thing with embodiment. A lot of people say they want something. They have absolutely no idea how to conjure the internal feeling inside of them to attract it. You have to learn how to do that without having to see it or touch it, because that's not how this works. It's not, I'll believe it when. So I'll believe it now, even if I don't see it for a very long time, because that is also a possibility. I've been there. I've had some shit take me 5 years to manifest, and I held that energy in that space for 5 years. That took a lot of work. So this is, it's a process like everything else. Does anyone have any questions about law of attraction or energy or how this works?
I have a question. Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
It's Melanie. What are your thoughts on detachment from, when you, ask for something, it comes, like you ask it, you receive, right? That's what that's at least what I believe. But so many times, like when you start, you're waiting for a train on the platform, you keep looking out, but it's going to come when it's going to come.
Yeah.
But my point is, you still think that something is going to go wrong. You keep looking for it. So like, whenever you ask for something, you keep looking for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you understand what I'm going in terms of this?
I do.
Like detaching from the fact that you've already asked, it's there.
It's not even it. I know what you're asking me, but I also want to just say this, because what you're also asking me is how to trust something that you can't see. And that's very hard for people. This is another thing that I work on in my program, because people don't trust what they can't control, right? It's like they freak out and it's like, oh my God, I don't feel like I have any control over this, so I don't trust any of it. I don't trust any of it. How do I know it's really coming? Even with the train, is it really coming? Is it going to be on time? I don't see it. Where is it? Is it around the corner? Is it ever going to get here? You're not manifesting the train coming faster at all. What do you think? What do you feel like in that moment? What you're manifesting is more impatience, right? That's the energy of that. It's impatience. It's also anxiety. Like you have to lean into, what is this thought or feeling making me feel? Not what you want. What is the thought or feel? What is this thought making me feel? That is what is manifesting. Are you being impatient? Do you not believe that it's coming? That's what you're creating, not that the train is going to come on time. You have to learn how to trust. What does trust feel like? What does surrender feel like? Because we have to constantly be doing that. And the other thing with detachment, this is interesting because people say and teach this in a lot of different ways. And it's like, just know what you want and then let it go. Just release it into the universe. And it's like, that's great in theory. Like, I'll tell you, for me, I'm not just letting things go into the universe. Like, I'm working on my shit. I don't know about anybody else. And it's like, here's the thing though. No, I'm not obsessed with my outcome. And no, I am not aligning with the energy of desperation. And no, I am not aligning with the energy of mistrust. And I'm not aligning with the energy of doubt. And I don't need to control any of it, because the universe is definitely smarter than me and it has a job to do, and so do I. But at the same time, I like to keep myself aligned with the things that I ask for, because energetically speaking, that is a very important piece. And in order for me to embody something on the daily, like it's already here, I cannot just completely detach from it and throw it out into the universe. This is a delicate dance, something that it is. It's a very delicate dance, because there is a fine line between embodiment and also doubting because it's not here yet. And you need to learn how to balance the difference between the two. That's why it's really important to like learn this stuff. And I mean, really learn it and be able to do this with someone. Books are great and podcasts and all that, but I see too many people binging on this stuff and not really understanding it, because there's a lot of like intricate little pieces that don't really get explained in the way that they should, if that makes sense. So I love all these questions. They're great.
I will ask one more question.
You can ask all you want.
I think I've asked you this question before, actually.
Yeah.
But what if you are what if you're having a reoccurring thought that you don't want to have, but you are having it, and you actually want to change the thought because you know that negative thought is going to actually manifest negative.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stop that from happening?
Again, awareness, like, oh, wow, what am I thinking? Oh no, I do this. But as soon as I catch myself, I do this. I'm like, what am I thinking? Oh no, I'm not, we're not going there. And then that's why it's so important for you to know what you want, because, and again, I just call this my desired outcome. Like, what do you want for this situation in your life? Like, this is literally how I talk to myself. What do you want for this situation in your life? How do you want this to go? How do you want to believe it will be? How do you want to feel when we get there? Like, what is this going to look like? Because I'm not taking no for an answer, and I'm not like just going to give this up like it's not possible. So, and in the moments where these little sneaky fuckers creep in, I have to detect them, because now for me, I can really see them because I've rewired so much of my mind. But the other thing too is like, what is the outcome that you want? Because that's what we need to realign and shift into, right? It's always a replacement. We got to have somewhere else for this to go. So it's important. Like, where do you want it to go? What do you want to believe? How do you want to feel? What do you want this to look like? And how often can you hold that space, so to speak, in all the ways?
So it's like catching the negative belief, recognizing that you're having it, shifting it to what you actually want it to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and then focusing on that.
Yeah, in my program, like I call it flipping the script. Yeah, because that's really what you're doing. You're flipping the internal script. Because this is the thing at the end of the day. These are all stories. I mean, to be honest, like that's what these are, right? They're stories. That's all they are. They're just stories, stories, stories. And that's the thing with beliefs, is that they become a longer version of a story. That's what happens. They like compile and they become like a long story. You can tell yourself any story that you want. I mean, you've been believing a bag of BS for a very long time anyway. So you can tell yourself whatever story you want. Make up a story, tell it to yourself, anything you like. And after a while, you'll believe it to be true. That's just the way that the brain works. So it believes things as truth that it absorbs in repetition. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we have another comment here, a couple comments. Yep. I have, oh, okay. It's not.
So I'll leave you with this since you're hopping off. If any of you want to go to, I'll just here, let me go through all this. It's my website is tiffanynicole.co. It's right here on the slide. And my program is actually not opened right now. It's opening on October 13th. So if you guys want, what you can do is this. You can go to my website. Again, it's tiffanynicole.co. You're going to see something called a VIP waitlist. So you can be my VIP. All you do is put your email in. That's it. Doesn't do anything else. It adds you to a list where I have your email, and you will get a coupon code for $200. And then on the 13th, you will have first dibs to even looking at the program. So you can look at the page, you can go through it. It shows you everything, who it's for, what I offer, what you learn, all of it, the value, the takeaways, everything. And if you want to do it and you're like, hell yeah, this is for me, cool. You can use your $200 coupon code and get $200 off the program. And I'm allowing people to do this for 2 days. So, and if you're not interested, okay, then you're not interested, but at least you'll have the coupon code in case you are, because you're only going to get it if you're on that list, and you can only use it for 2 days after I open the program, and then it's going back to normal price. So I've been telling people, if you're interested in seeing what this is all about, then just add your name to the list. Also, too, when you add your name to the list, you will be able to RSVP for my free manifesting masterclass that I'm hosting live on October 13th. If you can't make it, you get the replay. Is it this? Similar, but you learn more because I have more time, and we can have a lot more Q&A because I don't have a time limit or anything, you know? So if you want to just come back on and kind of get more, you can on the 13th. So just go to my website and there you go. You can be my VIP. You can hop on my free class. You can get a coupon code. And also too, if you're interested in theta healing, or like, what even is this? And do I want to do this? You'll find that on my website. There's a little spot in the menu that says theta healing. Just click on it and you can read all about it and even book a call through there. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, our wonderful partner, Venture Cafe, for being such an amazing partner. And we're going to be back in about 2 weeks with another great program for you. We don't know what it is yet, but we'll know by the end of this week. And thank you, Tiffany. As always, it's great to